Hello everyone. Today I want to share something very, very deep. A lot of secrets, a lot of connections, and it has to do a lot with our Parasha Shemini, and also with things that goes on the whole year, and where, as you're gonna see by asking the questions. So, but the the major question is why do we have Sefiras Haomer? And obviously we're going to discuss the deeper part of it. Why do we have Niddah? Why Niddah is 7 days? According to the Torah, you have 7 days of Niddah, which is the 7 days of, people call it a spiritual impurity, when husband and wife have to separate physically from each other, and they cannot have intimacy. So that's for 7 days according to the Torah. Nowadays, for the past 2,000 years, we have been doing 11 or 12 days, depending on the custom. But from the Torah, originally it was supposed to be 7 days. And why are those 7 days of Niddah? Why 7? Why do we have this whole mourning period of Sefiras Haomer, where, according to the Arizal, at least, we have to keep all 49 days. We don't shave, we don't do weddings, we don't listen to music, a lot of different things as a mourning period. So those are the two main questions, but we're going to answer many other questions as we go. But the first question is, why Sefiras Haomer is 7 weeks? What are we supposed to accomplish with Sefiras Haomer, and how it leads to, why is it between Pesach and Shavuot? And why Niddah, why a woman has to separate 7 days from her husband, or the husband from his wife? And why do we mourn during this time? Okay, so the place to start is like that. There's a Zohar, and the Zohar says, the Zohar HaKadosh, that explains that the 7 weeks between Pesach and Shavuot, which is a total of 50 days, 49 days, 50 is Shavuot, correspond to the 7 days that a woman is Niddah. We're discussing very deep Kabbalistic concepts on a very simple level, because I don't know the deep stuff. I know only the simple beginning of it. But it's a topic that you can discuss for millions of years. It's infinite. But we're just going to touch on the tip of the iceberg. So try to follow me. The idea is that the Jewish people represents the wife of Hashem, the wife of God. We are in a partnership to save the world, so to speak. And in order for the Jews to show how to have a relationship with God to the world, we need to practice our relationship ourselves with God, and our relationship with our spouse. Almost every aspect, if not every aspect that has to do with marriage, it has to do with also our relationship with God. And it is for this reason that really the 7 days when the man and woman separate, when the woman is Niddah, is the same as the 7 weeks between Pesach and Shavuot. So let me explain. What's happening is that we have a tendency to think that Niddah is just that spiritual impurity where we have to separate from the spouse, and because of that, nothing is permitted, and we don't touch, we don't have intimacy, and many other halachot. The concept is much deeper. What do we count between Pesach and Shavuot? we count 49 days. Why 49 days? Because the 49 correspond to the 7 times 7 of the emotional and physical desire that a man has. I'm going to show you in the picture so that you understand. So we have the 7 basic emotions, the 7 character traits that we have to fix, that correspond to the lower part of the body. Let me show you the picture of the body and the Sefirot so it's easier to understand. So we have the 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are the 7 parts of the body that we need to fix, and in order to connect to the deeper part of ourselves, our head, our soul. So what's happening is that on Pesach we get a glimpse. It's like we get a glimpse of clarity. We eat matzah that correspond to the 3 upper Sefirot. That's why on Pesach, Passover Seder, we eat 3 round matzot, correspond to the 3, Chochmah Bina Dat, or Ketei Chochmah Bina, and we eat that, and then for 1 week we don't eat Chametz. For 7 days we try to fix those 7, so to speak, and by not letting any Chametz, any thought, any ego come into our emotions and our body, desires and instincts. So as soon as we have clarity, we work on the body, and we try to perfect ourselves. So whenever, as you saw, the lines that connects the different Sefirot, those lines are, they connect to each other, right? So because of those lines that connect each other, it means that we have different parts, different emotions, different instincts, different desires, and one can limit the other and not be balanced. We try to be a balanced human being, and if we're a balanced human being, it is easier for the soul to then just come in and lead the body to elevate itself, so that everything we do, every desire we have, is directed by the soul, and we do everything in holiness, purity, and we get close to God. So what happens is that those 7 weeks that we count is the same as the 7 days that the woman counts until she goes to the mikveh after 7 days. Same thing on the 7 weeks that we count correspond to the week that the men, it's interesting, according to Kabbalah, it's the men that count, because the man who learns Torah, who has the obligation to learn Torah, which is the tool for him to come close to Hashem, to be intimate with Hashem, to understand Hashem, the 3 matzot, the 3 upper Sefirot, and that's our intimacy with God. And that's why when we finish the 7 weeks, we spend a whole night learning Torah with Hashem. We actually have a mitzvah not to sleep with our spouse during that night, unless it's the mikveh night, because it's a night where we sleep, so to speak. It's obviously just an image, but we sleep with Hashem. We're one with Hashem, and how do we do it? With His Torah. That's the Torah is our connection. The Torah, Israel, and God is one. It's one unit, and we become intimate, attached to Him through the learning of Torah, and that's our love. That's our spiritual, sexual experience, so to speak, that we have with God. But to achieve that, right? So I want to finish that thought. Is that's a Shavuot is like the wedding day. It's like a reenactment of the wedding day. Just like a husband goes to the woman goes to the mikveh after 7 days, and she's renewed. They go back together, husband and wife. It's a taste of the first day of the wedding. A renewal, excitement that reminds you of the first day that they were together. And on Shavuot, what we do, we put flowers, we make the bima big like a chuppah, and we make as if it's a wedding with God. our marriage with God was Mount Sinai, and we experience it. Also, we try to experience it in our everyday life with the Niddah cycle. Now, so that's the first aspect. The first aspect of marriage. There's a love between husband and wife. There's a love between Hashem and us, and we are supposed to try to work on ourselves during those 7 weeks. We worked every day, chesed shebechesed, gvura shebechesed. As we count our character traits. We make every day count in the sense that every day I have to work a little bit on myself. I have to be aware of my desires. I have to go inside myself into what I feel and desire and want to make sure that I am balanced and I act the proper way. So it gives you an entirely different outlook, understanding of what the Niddah days are. Usually people think of Niddah as, Niddah is, I have to stay away, from her and from him because we're spiritually impure, so to speak, and because of the blood, and because of that, it's we stay distant. And what we understand is to renew the excitement, but still, it's very strange. And why 7 days? And the idea is because the 7 days only correspond to those 7 sefirot, those 7 character traits that we have to work on. My whole idea of coming closer to my wife and closer to God is I got to better myself. How am I going to get closer to God? How am I going to renew my relationship? How am I going to bring the love and make it stronger and become one again? Only if I worked on my character traits. Now, connected to that, we have the idea of tuma. What's tuma? Tuma means blockage. It's covered. Timtum. It's like a klipa, something that covers something, and therefore the real meaning of tuma is not impure, is a blockage. And we have blockage in our relationship. We have blockage in ourselves, in the way we feel, with the connection between body and mind, and we don't act the right way. We do things, and we break the connection between us and our spouse by the way we talk, what we do, and same thing with our relation with Hashem. So we work for 7 days to rebalance, to become tahor, to unleash, to release the blockage and allow the love to flow between us and our wife, and that's a real next level of love. That's why technically each time a woman goes to the mikveh every month, it should be an entirely new relationship where it's a renewal, where I've worked on myself and now we desire each other more because we both make some work to love each other more and to be better people. And there's nothing more exciting about becoming one with someone who works to be one with you, and that's a little bit the whole idea. So that's already the whole new concept of what Niddah is. Niddah is the work on oneself and on one's character traits. And now, someone asked me, a student asked me a very powerful question: is then if that's the case, why are we even allowed to learn Torah during the 7 days, the 7 weeks from Pesach to Shavuot? It would make sense that since we cannot have intimacy with our spouse, we should not have intimacy with God and only work on ourselves and not learning the Torah. So really what's happening is that during those 49 days, what we do, we actually work, because what enables us to become better people and work on ourselves? The Torah. The Torah is what enables the intimacy. But what we are therefore working on is we're not going to be completely fully intimate with God in the way that we're on Shavuot. We're really working on our character traits more than usual, and that's why people learn Pirkei Avot also during this time. And we are actually trying to learn how to acquire the Torah. That's why, actually, coincidence? No, I don't think so. 48 ways to acquire the Torah. Pirkei Avot says 48 ways to acquire the Torah. And that corresponds to the 49 days where we prepare before Shavuot to acquire the Torah. So there's a whole work. We're working now on how to acquire the Torah better. And we learn Torah that in a way that teaches us how to get closer to God, how to be intimate with God to a full extent on Shavuot. So, and that's why we spend a whole week learning about. Oh, before I want to do that, because it's a lot of connection here, so I'm trying to arrange everything in place. One of the idea of why we're mourning this time, right? We have 24,000 students, Rabbi Akiva, who died during this time, and what was the problem of 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva? They were not respecting each other. They misunderstood the way to transmit Torah and to acquire Torah and to pass over Torah. And that's why it happened during this time, because it's how do you use the intimacy? How do you use the sexual experience? How do you use the love in order to be one? The students of Rabbi Akiva were not on the level, okay, they were all tzaddikim, but on the level, they were not able to do it the right way. So too, on Parasha Shemini, which is always falls during the Sefiras Haomer, the 7 weeks, is also where Niddah and Avihu died, and because they tried to come close with Hashem, to be intimate during this time, in a way that was not proper. They misunderstood. It's a very deep and long discussion why exactly their sin was, but they came at a time that was not appropriate. You cannot come to your wife when you're not ready. You cannot come close to Hashem when you're not ready. There's a time to get ready, and you have to. This is this world. In this world, we're physical, we're emotional, we have desires, and we have to learn to be ready for the other. So that's the whole count. We're counting to be more and more ready, more fitting. So we mourn during those 49 days before the 24,000 students of Akiva. And so too, during the Niddah time, it's also the 7 days correspond to the 7 days of sitting Shiva. Why do we sit Shiva? We sit Shiva because there was a huge soul that was there. I mean, huge, I don't know, huge. But there was a soul that was there, and the person died, and now the body, there's a vacuum in the body, there's no more soul in the body, and it dies. And we sit for 7 days in a moment of mourning, and we disconnect from learning Torah, from doing mitzvot, from everything, when we sit Shiva for 7 days, because we lost a very strong connection, and we mourn for the loss of that soul. So same thing, when a woman is Niddah, there was a potential for a soul to be there. The ovule was like the house of a potential soul, and that ovule died, so to speak. It's like micro miscarriage, and because of that, the woman goes into a phase of mourning for 7 days, and that's why sometimes the mood of a woman who is Niddah changes. It affects them. People don't realize, but it's a very spiritual and emotional thing, and we have to learn to be more sensitive during this time because of that whole process. So this is the 7 days of sitting Shiva, and which correspond to the 7 weeks of mourning, and therefore it's a time where we have a temporary separation in order to reflect on the potential of human life, the potential of holiness, the potential of using our connection, our relationship, our love, our sexual desire properly. So the other question is, why 7 days of Chametz? Why not the whole year without Chametz? Chametz, which is on Pesach, where we get rid of the Chametz. For 7 days, 1 week we don't deal with Chametz. And what's the whole thing with no Chametz? Chametz is the problems, the little thing that comes in our relationship that prevents us from having a very strong love together and a very flowing connection. So we try to destroy the Chametz, and we have 7 days where we get rid of any Chametz. Let's be pure love. Let's be disconnected from any Yetzer Hara. The Chametz is Yetzer Hara, and we know the sexual inclination is mostly the main thing connected to Yetzer Hara. So we disconnect from it for 1 week, and we are saying that let me try to connect to God without Chametz, without the physical, without the goodness of life, so to speak. Let me try to love my wife without the physical, sexual experience. I'm going to show her I love her not for her body, not because she's beautiful, not because I have desire for her. Doesn't make sense. Not because there's anything physical extra. I love her for who you are. I love her because she's at the core a beautiful human being, a holy neshama, and I want to be one with you. But I'm going to show you that it's not just physical, because that will be chametz, and that's why when people get married, they have a veil. The woman has a veil in front of her face, because what we're doing, we're telling her, I'm marrying you not just for your beauty, but for who you are behind that beauty, behind that physical aspect of you. So this is the whole idea of why we eat chametz. We get rid of the ego, of anything, of the yetzer hara, and we spend 1 week. It's very interesting because it's actually the first week of Sefiras Haomer, which is the week of love, and therefore we spend 1 week filled with just chesed, just giving love, but without any ego, without any aspect of physicality. It's all I love you purely because of who you are. And then after that week, then we go back and we get that intimacy. We go back to the everyday life. We go back to the chametz. Now we use the yetzer hara and we elevate it. We use it in a way that now I'm going to love my wife. Now I'm going to love Hashem. Now by using the physical, by using the sexual desire, and I use it in a way that is healthy. So we have 1 week a year where we train for all the weeks of the whole year. But we do that at the time where there's intense concentration of chesed and no ego and no chametz. So that's a little bit the secret of why we have 7 weeks, why 7 days of Niddah, why 7 days of sitting Shiva, why 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva died, why we're mourning during this time, why we're more focused on our character traits more than on just learning Torah in general. And there's other things. Another thing that is actually very interesting, that we're speaking about freedom, right? The freedom. Pesach is a time for freedom. Now, very interestingly, when do we have freedom in Judaism? Also after 7 years. Whenever there's a Jewish slave, someone who needs money and doesn't have any way to support himself, he goes to someone to become his slave, his worker, employee. Has nothing to do with today's slavery, the way we understand it. And the Torah says after 7 years, you should release the slave, and he goes free completely on the 7th, at the end of the 6th year. The 7th, he goes free. So the idea is also there, the freedom of 7, that someone who is enslaved, the reason it's 7 years, on the 7th year he goes free, is because it has to do with that same idea of now going back to oneself after 7, the concept of freedom. Now that's why the Shmitah also is 7. We disconnect from the earth for a whole year on the 7th year, which is a bit the concept of Shabbat. We disconnect from the world and we just appreciate all the 7 levels that were there, all the 6 levels. The 7 is what takes everything together, that was there, and we disconnect from it, so to speak, on certain level, because we're saying that if I appreciate really what is there, then I'll be able to go back to it in a higher level. So this is all connected, and the 49 years of Yovel, which is after 49 years, whatever property was sold and transferred or whatever ends up to be reconnected to the original owner, which means that after 49 years of Shmitah, the seven times sevens of Shmitah, we acquire the same thing. It's not just the freedom of the human being, but the freedom of earth, of the core of who we are. Adam is from Adama. So there is a whole going back to the cycle, to the root of the beginning. Again, just like a marriage, we do need that to go back at the beginning, the original desire, the original love that was not just physical, but it was because we really discovered each other and saw the beauty of the other human being. So the whole thing of Yovel, where after 49 years, we also... on the 50th year, it's 49th, 50th year, it's Yovel. It's the same thing as Shavuot, where we celebrate the love. We celebrate our connection to the core of our existence, to the root of who we are, and the truth that we are one with Hashem, one with Eretz Israel, and one with the Torah. So I hope I've been clear enough. You see all those connections, and obviously there's many more connections with the seven, so in many different places. But those are, I think, enables you to get a better taste of what Niddah is, what Sefiras Haomer is, and why we eat Chametz. We don't eat Chametz during 7 days. It's only 7 days because we want really to use the Chametz in all 7 days of every week of the year. But there needs to be a time of process, of understanding why we're in this world. We're in the physical world. We cannot be constantly attached to Hashem, which was the mistake of Niddah and Avihu. They didn't want to get married because they want to be constantly attached to Hashem. They wanted to live a life of the Mishkan, of completely disconnected from this world. That's why. So that was one of the mistake. They drink wine like Adam Rishon to fix the sin of Adam Rishon, but they didn't realize they were in Olam HaTikun, in a world where they have still to fix those 7 steps before entering the constant life of living with Hashem in love forever. So I hope that... by the way, I want to finish and conclude with that. It's a nice way to conclude. We know there's 7,000 years, 6,000 years of history. We're now in 5,778, 79, 78, I believe. Goes so fast, I can't count. We should count that. That's also counting. We're counting the years, and what are we counting? It's fascinating. The 6,000 years of being Niddah, so to speak, to be in the world of Tikkun, the world where we have to fix ourselves. And on the 7,000 year, that's when Moshiach comes, which is in 222 years, latest, Bezat Hashem. And basically, we are the whole world. At this point, Hashem becomes revealed and intimate with the whole world. He reveals himself completely. It's a revelation of the self, of the core. And the whole world, Jews and non-Jews, are going to be one with Hashem. Shema Yisrael Hashem Kenu Hashem Echad. V'haya Hashem lemelech hakodesh bayom hahu yeh Hashem Echad u'shemo Echad. His name will be one. Everybody will know His name. Everybody will be connected. We're going to know Hashem intimately. The whole knowledge of God will be all over the earth, and that's really what we're counting. We have to count the days. Why do we have a calendar? Because we're counting, because we're Niddah, because we're trying to go back to the final stage, to be married again with Hashem and with the whole world, that we should be one again. Our whole life, every year, we Rosh Hashanah is we're trying to count and be in that process of fixing and working on ourselves. So we see from all that the importance of working on character traits, on always being actively thinking of working on character traits and become a better person. The amount of Torah you learn is important, but it's not the most important. The important is the amount of character trait you work on. Then, how much Torah you have, the Torah anyway you need it to enhance your character traits. The mitzvahs also are here to enhance your character traits. So we have to really be aware and work every day on our character traits, or read a book that enhance your state of thinking, state of action. I always recommend the Mesilat Yesharim, which one of the best book. There's the Tomer Dvorah, the Palm Tree of Dvorah. I think the Path of the Just and Tomer Dvorah are really awesome. Otherwise, this is the Chovos HaLevavos, the Duties of the Heart. That's awesome. Those are my favorite. There are many others, of course, but my favorite is always the Path of the Just. It's Hashem. It's very clear, practical, and I think you love it. All right. I hope you enjoyed those secrets, and I think it's just one tip on the iceberg of the iceberg, what we just revealed, and it's. It should push us to see the greatness and the beauty of the Torah and all the secrets that's all connected. So have a wonderful Shabbat, and may we all experience complete fixing of ourselves and the love and intimacy of Hashem and with our spouse, for those who are married, and have finally the Geula Shlema. Amen.